Yo, Oregon just dropped a whole new set of gun laws that hit harder than folks expected, and they're already shaking up what you can buy, carry, or even own. I went through Senate Bill 243 myself, and no cap, if you own anything with a trigger or a mag over 10 rounds, you'd better listen up. What's up? This is Luke from Line 45. Today, I'm breaking down Oregon's new Community Safety Firearms Act that just kicked in, showing you what's banned, what's still legal, and how fast you could catch charges if you don't move quickly. Before we dive in, do me a solid, smash that subscribe, tap the bell, hit all the dang buttons down there. You don't gotta, but it keeps this train rolling and lets me crank out more of this wild gun talk for y'all. Alright, enough of that. Let's get back to it. Oregon's new gun crackdown just kicked in. So Oregon Senate Bill 243, called the Community Safety Firearms Act, officially kicked in on the 26th of September 2025. And damn, it's one of the biggest shakeups the state's ever done to its gun laws. This thing passed earlier in the year after months of fighting in Salem, and it basically folded parts of the blocked Measure 114 into a brand new package. Lawmakers pushed it hard, saying it's about cutting down gun deaths and tightening access after Oregon saw one of the biggest year-over-year jumps in firearm-related suicides and homicides, according to the Oregon Health Authority. The bill's sponsors claimed it balances rights and safety, but a lot of folks, especially lawful gun owners, aren't buying that line. What really makes this law wild is how fast it hit. No grace period, no rollout delay. The moment the governor signed it, parts of it went live. It touches everything: ownership, carry, ammo capacity, and even future gun purchases. It's being called a complete modernization of Oregon's gun framework, similar to what California and Washington did in recent years. The state legislature used data from the FBI's Uniform Crime Reports and the Giffords Law Center to justify tighter magazine limits and new background verification processes. Even the Oregon State Police said they'll need new staff and digital systems to handle all the upcoming permit-to-purchase applications. Bottom line, this isn't a small tweak. It's a full-on overhaul of how Oregon defines responsible gun ownership, and the clock's already ticking for anyone not paying attention. Goodbye. Binary triggers and forced resets. So one of the first things this new law smacked down was rapid-fire activators, and Oregon didn't play around with it. We're talking binary triggers, bump stocks, forced reset triggers, cranks, and any device that speeds up semi-auto fire. Those are now officially banned statewide. If you're caught owning one, that's a Class A misdemeanor. But if you make, sell, or even move one across state lines, that's a Class B felony, which can mean serious jail time and fines. The state's wording matches the definitions the ATF used when they cracked down on bump stocks after the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. And Oregon's law goes even further by adding any mechanical device designed to increase the rate of fire. So yeah, they're sweeping up everything under that umbrella. What's interesting is how fast they dropped this with zero transition period. When Measure 114 first tried to pass, that rule got held up in court. But SB 243 didn't wait for anybody. Law enforcement agencies across Oregon got guidance straight from the Oregon State Police Firearms Instant Check System, saying all those items are now contraband and can't even be sold privately. Gun shops in Salem and Eugene have already been pulling forced reset triggers off shelves since September. The NRA and Oregon Firearms Federation called it a criminalization of innovation, arguing that none of these devices actually make a gun automatic under federal law. Still, Oregon's not backing down. They're treating anything that speeds up your trigger finger like a machine gun accessory, and they're enforcing it like one, too. Local governments can now ban concealed carry. So here's the deal. Oregon Senate Bill 243, officially titled the Community Safety Firearms Act, kicked in on the 26th of September 2025, and it's a massive rewrite of how the state handles gun ownership. Lawmakers pushed this thing as a direct response to Measure 114's chaos, which got tied up in court for over 2 years. They basically took all the stuff from that measure, from permits and magazine limits to safety courses, and rebranded it under SB 243 so it could actually stick this time. The bill went through the Oregon legislature earlier this year, pushed mostly by Democrats out of Portland and Eugene, with strong backing from Governor Tina Kotek. Supporters say it's about stopping preventable gun deaths and modernizing outdated firearm laws, pointing to the Oregon Health Authority's 2024 data that showed firearm suicides jumped 18% statewide. But it's not just another feel-good safety bill. This law flips a lot of long-standing gun rules on their head. It gives local governments more control over where you can carry, sets up a new permit to purchase system, and straight up bans a whole category of accessories that were legal yesterday. Oregon's Department of Justice said the state had nearly 300,000 active concealed handgun licenses in 2025, and those folks are the ones feeling this hit first. What's wild is the timeline. There's no slow rollout, no wait and see. The law started enforcement immediately, with some parts like the purchase permits going live next March. They used data from the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission and the FBI's uniform crime reports to argue that stronger firearm access laws correlate with fewer mass shootings. But gun rights groups like the Oregon Firearms Federation, Gun Owners of America, and the NRA call that cherry-picked nonsense, saying none of the laws target criminals, just regular gun owners. Oregon's legislature still insists it's a public health move, modeled after Washington's HB 1902 and California's SB 2, which both restrict high-cap mags and expand local control zones. Obviously, this is not just a policy tweak. It's a full-scale transformation of Oregon's gun laws, and whether you're a hunter, CHL holder, or first-time buyer, you're now playing by a completely different rulebook. The new permit-to-purchase system. Starting the 15th of March 2026, I'm gonna have to jump through a whole new set of hoops just to buy a gun in Oregon. The state's rolling out this new permit-to-purchase system, and it's basically turning every firearm sale into a full-on background investigation. I'll have to go down to my local sheriff's office, get fingerprinted, submit a recent photo, and prove I passed a certified firearm safety course approved by the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. After that, the Oregon State Police runs my name through their firearms instant check system before I can even think about walking out of a shop with something new. Lawmakers say it's about accountability and prevention, but let's be honest, this system looks a lot like a registry with extra steps. The state is defending it with research from Johns Hopkins and Rand, saying states with these kinds of laws have fewer gun homicides. But those same studies don't prove the permit system caused the drop. Gun owners like me see it as another delay tactic, one that slows down everyone while criminals keep doing their thing. Local gun shops are already stressing about this. They're expecting longer wait times, confused customers, and way more paperwork, since no firearm transfer can happen until that permit clears through local databases. Oregon State Police even admitted they'll need new staff to handle the flood of applications. So if you plan to buy a gun in 2026, start early, because it's about to get real bureaucratic out here. 10-round magazine cap. Now this one really got folks heated. Oregon's new magazine law bans the sale, transfer, and import of anything that holds more than 10 rounds. If you already own them, you can keep them, but they're locked into strict use rules. I can only use mine at home, on a licensed range, or when transporting them unloaded and locked up in a separate container. That's it. Carrying one loaded in public? That's now a criminal offense. The law mirrors parts of Measure 114 that got tied up in court, but this version under SB 243 tightened the language and gave law enforcement clear authority to enforce it. The Oregon Department of Justice even said they'll allow a 180-day grace period for owners and dealers to comply once House Bill 375 clears final review. Gun rights groups have already hit back, arguing it violates the Second Amendment and doesn't hold up under the Supreme Court's Bruin test for historical tradition. The Oregon Firearms Federation and Gun Owners of America filed separate suits, saying there's no founding-era precedent for limiting ammo capacity. On the other side, the states point to cases like Duncan versus Bonta in California, where similar bans were temporarily upheld pending appeal. What's wild is that enforcement of Oregon's mag ban and permit system is on pause right now until the state Supreme Court hears arguments on the 6th of November 2025. District Court already sided with the state, saying the restriction fits within historical firearm regulation. So yeah, I'm keeping my high-cap mags locked up for now because depending on what the courts decide, Oregon could go either way on this real soon. What Oregon gun owners must do now. So here's what gun owners like me actually need to do right now before this whole thing gets ugly. First off, if you own any kind of rapid-fire activator, get rid of it or turn it in. Oregon State Police already listed binary triggers, bump stocks, and forced resets as prohibited mechanical devices under SB 243, and they're charging folks who get caught with them. Second, check your local city or county websites, because a bunch of local governments are already moving to ban concealed carry in public buildings. Portland, Eugene, and Bend all said they're reviewing their ordinances to line up with the new authority SB 243 gave them. That means your CHL isn't a free pass anymore. If you walk into a city hall or a library carrying concealed, you could catch a misdemeanor charge even if you've been carrying legally for years. Next, magazines. Keep your high-cap mags at home or at the range only. The law's clear that using them outside those zones counts as unlawful use. The Oregon DOJ said there's a 180-day compliance window for dealers and owners, but that clock depends on HB 375 passing, and that bill's still in committee. Don't risk it. Lock them up and transport them unloaded until the courts give a final ruling. If you're planning to buy a gun next year, start preparing your paperwork now. You'll need that safety course certificate, fingerprints, and a recent photo for the permit system coming in March 2026. Local police departments are already saying they'll be backed up once applications open. Finally, stay updated. The Oregon Supreme Court's hearing in November could decide whether parts of SB 243 stick or get frozen again. Either way, I'm keeping my gear legal, my paperwork ready, and my eyes on those rulings, because one bad assumption out here could cost me my rights or my record.